Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of the Roundup, No Way Out, a Korean crime action thriller from 2023 that is a sequel to the Outlaws from 2017 and the Roundup from 2022. And I do have reviews for both the Outlaws and the Roundup on my channel from a few years ago. Good movies for sure, but how does this third installment compare? Let's find out here. Now, Detective Ma Seok-do, played by Ma Dong-seok, and his team are promoted to Metropolitian Investigation Unit, where they investigate the death of a woman. The autopsy report concludes that she had been taking a drug called Hyper. And Ma goes to the nightclub and interrogates the president, where they learn about a yakuza member named Hiroshi, who is working with a group of Korean criminals to distribute the drug. So the film begins with an undercover cop getting smoked by some bad guys. So I was expecting the antagonists in this film to be as mean-spirited and nasty as the baddies from the last two movies in this franchise. And those villains were intensely unlikable and unhinged. But I did not gain that impression from No Way Out. The criminals are a bit different here. I would describe them as less scary, but more sophisticated. For example, the main villain of the film turns out to be a secret bad guy for a while who actually interacts with the cops. He's simply not known to be a criminal on the surface, and the police do not know that he's the mastermind, even though the audience does. And that creates some interesting scenes with the protagonists. Now, the conflict becomes even better around the 45-minute mark when Munetaka Aoki shows up and the Japanese yakuza start making their plays against their own traitors who are working with the Korean criminals. So instead of having the bad guys versus the good guys, we have bad guys versus good guys and Korean gangsters who are the bad guys against the Japanese yakuza who are also the bad guys. So it's kind of like a three-way conflict between the good guys, the Korean criminals, and the Japanese criminals. Script writing is pretty basic here, but the conflict building is effective enough. Now, the supporting cast is arguably better than the previous two films. Munetaka Aoki is fun in this one. He'll always be that guy from Season of Snow, which is this obscure Japanese movie about skiing. I actually reviewed it a few years ago. I've always liked him from that film, but it seems like his career is getting more impressive and eventful over time. Like he was in the Rurouni Kenshin movies as a supporting character. He was in Godzilla -1, and now the Roundup No Way Out. He's also mixed in some low-budget art house movies to his career, like The Snow Woman that came out from 2016. I do think that his yakuza character in this movie is one of his more badass roles that I've seen him in throughout his career. Like when he shows up, the movie gets more entertaining because he's just out to just wreck people, Then we have Lee Bum-soo, who has a small supporting role, and Jun Kunimura shows up, but only in a cameo. So don't be expecting too much from him, but some nice little bonuses. So I did like the cast in this. And then, of course, you get Ma Dong-seok as our lead protagonist. And yes, this could be safely described and classified as yet another Ma punching dudes in the face movie. In fact, as early as the opening 10 minutes, he punches some dudes in the face when they cause a ruckus and interrupt his morning commute. And you know what you're gonna get in a movie like this. You just know. And it is part 3 of a franchise, so do you really need me to tell you whether or not you're going to enjoy this, really? I mean, if you enjoyed the Outlaws and the Roundup, there's a good chance you'll enjoy this one. But with that said, not every Ma punching dudes in the face movie is equal. I recently reviewed Badland Hunters, and while the finale was definitely legit, that movie did have some pacing issues, with Ma being off screen for abnormally large periods of time. You don't really have to worry about that problem in No Way Out. Someone's getting beaten up or killed every 15 minutes, and Ma gets a whole bunch of screen time in this. So I do give the film credit. It gives us what we want going into it, all right? Now, the action quality is similar to prior installments in the franchise. Choreography is on the simplistic side. Ma uses a lot of traditional boxing, punches, some judo-style throws and stuff, and you get that here. The baddies like to break out knives, blades, blunt objects. I think it's safe to say that Ma has reached a point where he's basically like the Korean version of Michael Knight from Knight Rider. If you've ever seen that show from the 80s, you know, Michael Knight would just knock dudes out with one punch. I used to call it the Michael Knight knockout. But I think Ma's kind of taken over that role here. It's the Ma Dong-seok knockout now. But there is a point where he knocks out the same guy twice in a period of like 5 minutes. It's pretty funny. But thankfully, the fights near the end provide a little bit more of a challenge for our protagonists, because the baddies are a little bit more difficult to take down, like the boss, the boss fight, so to speak. At the end of the day, though, I did still feel like it was maybe a little bit too easy for our protagonist, but it's still fun to watch. So I do recommend the Roundup No Way Out, especially if you enjoyed the prior installments. The Korean language version is on DailyMotion with English subtitles. I'll include a link in the description box below. The versions on YouTube and I think maybe even Amazon and a few other sites appeared to be an English dub only for some bizarre reason. So if you want an English dub, I mean, that's fine, but they really should always include the original language version as an option. And I thought, this is 2024, I thought we're past this at this point, but, you know, this does happen on occasion. So I would recommend the DailyMotion original language version. But, hey, if you've seen this one, let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you next time.